Welcome back to Corner Stories. Please enjoy this video and don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. And now let's get on to story 1. I, F27, cheated on my boyfriend 2 years ago. I went out to a party, got drunk, and had sex with another guy. I tried hiding it for a while, trying to protect what we had. In the end, I couldn't bear it anymore, so I confessed everything. His face was blank, no emotion. He told me that I'm his problem now and that he wishes us the best. I cried and begged, but in the end, I just accepted. It was my decision, my mistake. He came a few days later to pick up some of his things, and I asked him if he could just hear me out. I told him that I was really sorry and that I would like him to remember me in a good way. I wanted to know if there's anything I could do to earn his forgiveness. He then sat me down and told me that there's nothing I can do to make him stay with me or forget what I did. He told me how he believed in us and that I ruined everything, which I did. He was the best part of my life, always there for me, a person on which you can rely, the one who listens and gives his advice. He had a decent salary, he cooked and cleaned, he was kind, hardworking, and honest. Yet, I threw everything away because of my selfishness. Before he left, he also told me that he won't be hostile towards me, but we won't be friends either. He doesn't want to be near me or have anything to do with me. I asked him not to leave me, that he can sleep with whomever he wants, but he refused. He told me that even though revenge is sweet, its fruits are bitter. Forgiveness is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. He chose the latter. I was crying my eyes out. I caused him so much pain, yet he never once insulted me or did me any harm. I truly wished he had cursed me out and yelled at me instead of giving me such an empty and cold look and saying words that hurt far more than my actions did, simply because they were the truth. After our breakup, I never went to another party, I never drank again. I went to therapy to try and move on, yet it only worked on some aspects of my life. I've been single since then. A few men were interested in me, mostly for hookups, but I refused. It changed me, what I did and what he said. His words have been stuck in my head since then, a constant echo and reminder of what I did and what I destroyed. Whenever I think of him, it only brings sadness and tears. Looking back from now, I think I became a different person. I no longer drink or go to clubs, I have no interest in casual sex or hookups. I started working out, painting, going for walks in nature, changed my job, so I'm also doing better financially, yet no matter what I do, I feel empty. We ran into each other a few times after our breakup. He was still so beautiful, so kind, and polite. He is still a part of me I can't let go. I know that I'm wrong. I wrote this to show people that some actions you do will make you carry the shame and guilt for a long time, if not for life. Story 2. Don't know if I'm being overdramatic, but here's some context. My wife asked me to fix our sink since it was leaking. I agreed and got my tools and started working on the thing. Midway I overheard my wife call her dad and asking him if I was doing it right, and if he could come over and check to make sure I didn't mess it up. I called her over and asked her to clarify. She dismissed it, saying as her dad was an engineer he would just check over my work. I told her I didn't like that and I'm more than capable of fixing something as simple as a sink. Again she dismissed it. I told her to call her dad and tell him that is not needed. She said no. I told her again and she again said no, and this conversation was over. I felt hella emasculated, and here where I might be wrong, I told her since her dad was coming to check he could fix the entire thing since I was pretty hungry. I got up. She asked where I was going and I told her my parents' house to eat since my mom cooked better. I ignored her screaming at me and drove to my parents' house. Closed my phone when I got to my parents' house. After dinner I told them what happened. My dad supported my decision, saying I was just showing her how I felt. My mom on the other hand said I took it too far. We haven't spoken since I got back home, but I'll apologize if I'm wrong. That was pretty fun, and the wife got a taste of her own medicine and didn't like it. Sure, the OP was petty, but sometimes petty actions are needed. Tell me, did OP act in the wrong, or was everyone in the wrong, or just the wife? Story 3. For context, we, M56 and F47, have been together for 26 years, married for over 20 years. One child. We always try to make the most of our weekends together, and yesterday was no exception. We had a day out, shopping and food, then met up with acquaintances for a few drinks before heading home. The subject got around to relationships and how to keep the flame burning. One of the younger women asked my wife how to keep sex enjoyable after being with the person for so long. I don't know, having sex with me does nothing for me since our child, 18, was born. There was an awkward silence and people started making excuses to leave. Traveling home, mostly in silence, I asked her if she thought that was an appropriate comment and that I wanted her to apologize. As per usual, she doubled down and blamed me for being too sensitive. Since then there has been no communication. TLDR, am I the asshole for getting upset that my wife told acquaintances that sex with me does nothing for her? Update: she has said that she meant penetrative sex means nothing to her as she is unable to orgasm that way since childbirth. That is not what she said in public. I knew there was an issue, bought the equipment balls to help her tighten up, but they were never used. Sex would consist of a lot of foreplay, oral and, occasionally, toy play. This would give her 3 or 4 orgasms before penetration. I thought she enjoyed the intimacy. I don't guilt her into sex. When we had our child I waited 10 months before we resumed physical intimacy. I'm not going to insult her to make myself feel better. 2 wrongs make it a hell of a lot worse. She has tried to blame the comment on the menopause. She is perimenopause, and the few drinks that she had, but I'm not buying it. That's an excuse, not an apology. I'm not the typical Scotsman, no deep-fried Mars bars for me. I do a physical job and run 5K every second day. I was a 32-inch waist when we married and I'm a 34 waist 20-odd years later. To be truthful, I'm feeling shock, shame, embarrassment and emasculated. I can't imagine ever being intimate with her again. Oh wow, I feel sorry for OP. That is not the kind of topic to speak about in public, and that is most certainly not something you comment on about your intimate life with a partner, who seems to be more private about his romantic life. I really hope OP can make it through all this. Maybe therapy. They definitely need to communicate more and try to build a bridge. Do you think they could come back from this? How do you think things will unfold? Please comment and let me know. Also feel free to subscribe and join the community. Now let's get on with the next story. Story 4. So essentially I'm with my dream girl and vice versa. We met during COVID, casually seeing each other for 3 months, then one day we got COVID together and she stayed at my place and never left. Definitely honeymoon phase. We had sex probably 3 to 5 times a day for a year. Always mind-blowing. I was the first guy to make her orgasm through intercourse and she would have multiple big O's every time we'd get to it. I'm very confident in us and our sex life at this time. One day out of the blue she tells me, I gotta tell you something, we need to watch out for me being unfaithful. I cheated on both of my exes and it runs in my family. Heavy Christian background, which I thought was interesting. Her mom told her this is something her family does and she needs to be super careful. Her whole life her mom was instilling this idea in her head. Her other 2 relationships were both with abusive guys who didn't have sex with her, Christian. She is not Christian anymore and basically said after that she slept with a ton of people after that, as did I when I was younger, so not judging her for that at all. She's had exes hit her up and always told me and was transparent about it, I think. Today we're on vacation, sitting in bed looking over the ocean and that daunting thought drops in my brain again. We still have sex 5 to 6 times a week going on 3 years and it's still incredible nearly every time. I want to propose to her this year. We've both taken off in our careers and life is amazing. But this idea of her cheating on me keeps sliding on in and looking back it causes fights, causes me to act insecure, and it's been coming out in weird ways. My ego held it in this long, 2 years. This morning we finally talked about it. Realized her mom planted that seed when she was very young and we had a deep conversation basically unraveling that lie, because she's the best person in the world. There's been no signs of her cheating at all. She admitted early on in our relationship she took a guy's number at work but never hit him up. I also know she's such a sweetheart that she really does have trouble setting boundaries and basically is nice to everyone, which I love about her. Just wish she could shut guys down easier, but it is what it is. I'm not tripping about that. She told me about the situation when she got home but didn't tell me she took his number. This was about 1.5 years ago. Recently she told me she actually did take his number. So I'm a little confused and tired of feeling unsure about us over this one conversation, referring to having to watch out for her cheating. It only comes up about once or twice a week, but I'll get intrusive thoughts because I'm devoting my life to this girl. Just want some unbiased opinions, thoughts on the situation. Has anyone else been through something like this? Am I crazy for being worried? I want to spend my life with her. This is the only hiccup in our relationship on her end. I've admittedly acted out of pocket when these thoughts have come up. Accused her of cheating once, the bottom of our relationship. This was like 1.5 years ago. But overall, I want to marry and trust this girl. How would you navigate and or feel in this situation? Thanks guys, looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Story 5. This whole situation is so insane. I was an art officer in a university club where the president was negligent in almost all planning. Guy absolutely sucked at planning events, managing conflict, writing documents, etc. So most of the time that stuff fell to me as the second oldest member there. I wrote nearly all the meeting documents, planned social details, checked in with everyone, and volunteered a lot of my time in making free art for the club. For context, he was so bad at time management he thought the officers could plan a huge 50-plus member event in a little under a week and a half. I was told I needed to do better by him, left the club. Because who wouldn't after something like that? I spent over 128+ hours of work on creating designs, rendering drawings, recoloring assets for them, on top of managing administrative work he conveniently forgot to do. He begged me to come back. I shouldn't have, but I did. Things didn't get better. I left the server permanently after my term was over, figured that was that. I didn't want my work used for the club anymore. It was voluntary work, not a part of my job description. You'd think I should be entitled to my artwork? President threw a fit after he found out I removed my designs from the Google Drive and reported me to the university, claiming I deleted crucial documents from the drive, conveniently leaving out that they were documents I created. Everything's worked out because the club always had a precedent of allowing artists to pull their work at any point, also conveniently left out by him in his report. But I still can't believe he felt my artwork belonged to him after how he treated me. Update. Well, I thought things were over. After reporting me for removing my art, I sent the club a formal notice to remove all of my work. Guy removed half of the work but kept some stuff up, so I sent a warning notice a week later letting him know if it wasn't removed I'd be contacting the university to file a complaint. Frankly speaking, I only sent the warning because I really didn't want to go through the process of actually reporting the organization. I should have just gone ahead and reported him silently, but it didn't sit well with me. He may not have given me courtesy of a heads up, something the club's constitution explicitly says is required before disciplinary action, but I didn't feel right doing the same thing. Thought that would be that, issue's over, we both can move on with our lives. I get an email from him 2 weeks later. In it, he says he's declined my request to have my artwork removed. My work belongs to the organization, and if I want we could have a mediated discussion to come to a civil conclusion to our unfortunate disagreement. Funny how it's turned into an unfortunate disagreement after he attempted to have me punished by the university for my own work. Worst case scenario, I could have lost scholarships over this. I didn't. Everything worked out well, but this level of escalation was grossly unjustified. Doubly ironic. This club was a place that claims to support artists, so now I'm meeting with the university's lawyer to see what I can do about this. Here's hoping things work out. I have a ton of evidence disproving I ever signed my works rights away. Relevant comments. Guy really has his knickers in a knot, doesn't he? Good move speaking to the lawyer. I hope they're able to put this to rest once and for all. Good luck. I hope it works out for you. Unless it was donated or the club purchased it, it's calling theft. And he's messed in the head if he does not have paperwork proving either one of these. Get all your ducks in a row prior. Maybe meet with a lawyer or head over to our legal advice. Get copies of proof these works of art were on loan. All interactions, videos, emails, texts. Make copies of everything. A set for the university's lawyer, self, and save everything on a clean USB stick with password. Speak nothing about the case to anyone. Yeah, make it very clear that this is the only chance they get to stop illegally using your artwork before you sue for copyright and payment for the years in which they used your artwork. Come down hard on them with everything you can throw at them, or they'll spend years messing you over while you waste all of your money on legal fees. OP, thanks for the advice, I appreciate it a ton.